Cha reporting live from the Money Mantra, and we are back with another Forex education video. I created my channel to help as many people as possible become independent and profitable traders. So if that sounds like you, you're in the right place at the right time. Now, I do just want to give you a warm welcome or welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys for clicking on this video and spending time with me today. And if you want to know anything else about me or what I have going on outside of YouTube, that information is down below in my description box. Now, in today's quick video, I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit about gap trading. I am not a professional when it comes to gap trading. I have what I like to do, but this is something that you can add to your analysis to help you find better entry points. Now, sometimes gaps in the markets are a little bit more obvious and you can see them, and other times they're not so obvious. A gap in the market occurs when price goes from one place to another so fast that a gap is created, not giving people enough time to fill orders at that place. Now, when this happens, the market cannot leave this gap. No matter how long it takes, the gap will always be filled. And again, sometimes you'll notice a gap because it'll be obvious, but other times you'll notice it in a three candle pattern where the first and third candle are not overlapping whatsoever. Now, if that makes sense so far, just go ahead and drop a 7 in the chat. This is an obvious gap that we can see, and this one over here is not so obvious. Now, why is this important to you, and how can you add gap trading to your charting and analysis? So I'm going to put the chart in replay mode, and I'm going to take it back to where this gap in the market was actually created, and I'm going to add some horizontal lines to my chart because I want you to see that no matter how long it takes, this gap will always be filled. And this is important to note because if you were ready to take the trade for either a buy or a sell, but you notice the gap hasn't been filled, you may want to hold off just so that you don't get stopped out of your trade. So what I'm going to do is put a horizontal line at the bottom of the first candle because this is where it closed. And then I'm going to put a horizontal line at the top of the third candle. In between these two lines is our gap, and this is what needs to be filled. Now, what this means is that the market is not just going to consistently continue to sell until it comes back up to that place. So you can use this to your advantage to set pending orders anywhere between 1.12495 and 1.1278 in order to find the best entry instead of getting in at market execution. So literally, because these two candles are not overlapping, you're going to want to set your orders in the gap. I really hope that's making sense. So I'm just going to go ahead and press play, and we're going to see what happens. And I want you guys to notice as the market pushes back into the gap, that space is going to be filled before the selling actually continues. And if you can see it and it's making sense as it's playing out, just comment gap down below so I know that you are following along. So we can see that the market was in a bit of consolidation for a couple of hours. It pushed back into that gap just as we suspected it would, and then the gap was filled before the market continued to sell. Now, here, I'll just move these two lines down. We can see that another gap has been created, and the market has already pushed into that gap to fill it. Now, sometimes this can happen within a couple of minutes. Sometimes this can happen within a couple of hours. And sometimes, if you're looking at the market on a higher time frame, this could happen within weeks. So we're just going to continue to play this out. And I want you guys to notice where these gaps are. And I'll move my horizontal lines to basically create the gaps for you so that you guys can see what happens when the market fills that space, right? So we have another example of a gap that was created. The market filled in this area, and then it came back down. So gap trading is really not hard. Again, sometimes it's a little bit more obvious when you can see those gaps clearly in the market, and sometimes it's not so obvious. But if you can take just a few extra minutes to do your analysis, then you will be able to identify these things and again, hopefully find better entry points. So I'm going to go to another example. I'm going to look for a buy example for you so that you guys can see that this definitely does work both ways. So let's look for one. Now, again, you're just going to see this when the first and third candle do not overlap. Here's a good buy example right here. You can either go for an obvious gap in the market. Here's one. Right here was an obvious gap in the market, or you can go for one that has a three candle series. So I'm going to put my horizontal line here at the top of the first candle, and I'm going to put my other horizontal line here at the bottom of the third candle. The space in between these two lines is the gap. The gap must be filled. So the market is going to come back down into that area before it pushes up to buy. Now, one thing you do want to note is after the initial candle comes back down into the gap, let's say we're looking at this gap for a buy to be filled. Once the candles come back here, you want the next candle after the candle that filled the gap to be in the direction of the market. So, for example, once the candles come back into this gap, the second candle after that should be a buy candle, further confirming the trend. So we're just going to go ahead and hit play and we're going to see what happens. And we can see the market was touched right into that gap. And then the next candle after that was a buying candle, right? So this can really help you to identify where you want to get into the market. It can help you find better entries. It can help you just be a little bit more diligent in your charting. And I wouldn't really call this advanced, but because it's actually quite simple. We're not really using any indicators. We're literally just paying attention to price action and waiting to see what happens. And again, as long as it taps back into that zone, even if it's minor, right? Even if it is minor, that still counts because the next candle was blue. Now, I really hope that this video made sense. If it was helpful, just go ahead and drop some sevens down below in the chat or comment gap so that I know it made sense. If this is your first time on this channel, thank you so much for coming here. I have almost 400 videos that will help you improve your trading or get into it if you've never done anything like this before. And again, if you'd like to connect with me outside of YouTube, all of that information is down below in my description box. But that's really all I have for you guys today. Until next time, rich friends.